Peace, peace, and blessings. This is the sound and the experience that is Triumphant TV. Welcome. Here on Triumphant TV, we are going to focus on three main aspects of my life that has sustained my life: powerful poetry, prolific conversations, and compassion. This is the episode 1, episode 0, and I hope that you join in and enjoy in what we're going to experience together. This is the first time I've ever used this means of media, so it should be interesting and a journey for both of us, for all of us. Again, if you are tuning in, we're going to have a couple more minutes before people start to tune in. But the focus here is poetry, prolific conversations, and compassion. I'll be sharing a few poems today. I'll also be sharing or hoping that we take part in a prolific conversation about what's going on in the world today. And then we'll close, just so you can have a different look on life. James Baldwin, famous poet, said that it is the poet's job to have everyone look at the world again. And that is my intention. I am here to help you to look at the world that you know again, with new eyes, with a fresh screen, with a new lens. Not to see it as I see it, but just to see it in a better light, in a more brilliant light. If you are also looking at the bottom of the page, you'll see how to connect with the Triumphant One website, also with Facebook and with YouTube. We want to make sure that even though we are just now starting, we want to keep this page alive, help support the stream with Cash App, $Triumphant1, capital TR1 instead of the I because it's bigger than me. UMPHANT, capital ONE. All right, y'all. It is a little after 2 p.m. and I know that you guys are sweltering in the heat right now, and you could choose to be of any of a number of different places, but you chose to be here, and that means everything to me. I am, and you are, triumphant. Would like to start with a poem so that you can more understand exactly from which lens I am viewing the world and where I'm coming from. But in the meantime, I want you to think about the things that are going on in your day to day. Not necessarily in the news, not necessarily in the world, but in the world you know. In the experiences that you have at home with your immediate family, your spouse, your partner, your dogs, your cats, any and everyone that's around you more intimately, and you sharing that time with them. I'm going to share a poem that I believe is definitely necessary at this time, and I'll explain once I read the poem, and you'll know exactly what I mean probably by the time I finish. The name of this poem is Mom. I'll never buy you flowers. Instead, I'll plant rose bushes that weather through dead winters and resurrect each spring, just like the Christ you've taught me to pray to. No candy to devour. Such insolence, your insulin levels raised insensitively due to my gestation. Instead, your soup passed down, prepared, and ladled. Neither cardboard heart nor cold call could do such love justice. No, not at all. Instead, I'll bleed my heart at 3 feet per second, electrocute my brain at 250 miles per hour, and speak of its soft pains at the speed of sound. How indeed I love thee. You maketh me to lie down in time's sands, inside still waters run deftly deep. Your Red Sea parted long enough to lead me to unpromised lands. 40 days and 40 nights cannot top 40 weeks. I've looked to the hills which come my help. A manna El Shaddai claimed for myself even while blind. I knew to cleave. I was lame when you told me to walk, and then too I believed. Proverbs provided one each day for when I'd learned to read, and yet I began to stray, as if of you I had no need. Such lamentations led to revelations. I, your prodigal son, have returned to gift you proof of furnace burns and lashing streaks and gnashings of my teeth that you were right. This I lived. This life that I've survived, this clean heart I provide, since you forgive, no longer crucified. All of this forever and always you, the first God I ever knew. I wrote that poem for Mother's Day this year. I wrote it because despite the truth that I and my mother are estranged, I love her deeply. And the fact that I am here on this planet is all because of her. The fact that I am here on this planet in the way that you are taking me in today is because of her. Because of my mother, my mom, the first God I ever knew, the one that I learned what belief was with, to believe in. We right now are in a world where laws and statutes and politics are trying to push out any and everything representing love, not just love for others, but self-love as well. We have to be careful of the world's influence that pushes against the affinity of the people we love. We have to be mindful that in a world where we are given choices, these choices are indeed our choices. And to have those choices taken away takes away some of our humanity, at least in my not so humble opinion. However, me, a person who is talking to you today as a poet, as a minister, as a writer, as a creative, I believe that there are a series of teachings that come out of books that speak of us having the choice, but choosing life. Not an obligation to life, but choosing it for ourselves. Choosing it for those that we choose to bring into the world. And what a troubled world it is. It is very brave to bring forth life into a world such as this. But it is a beautiful thing if you can endure it. But that does not mean that those who choose to see themselves with the choice of not enduring, that they be shunned, that they be judged unrighteously. But I must say that it is important for us to choose life. But it must be a choice and not an obligation. There are times in my life where I would want to not choose life. I know that there are people who go through that even at this very moment. And for that, I have yet another poem, one that I had just published this past Wednesday and was put public today. The name of this poem is called Plangent. I read this every day to stop from stopping my going onwards. I was born hands first, ready to receive whom I will cleave to and keep clean. Oh, the mud and the blood, so much dirt. I took my sin silently until provoked to scream. For them, it was confirmation. For me, it was a dance of flangered phalanges and unesthetic, orchestic, out of rhythm, romantically random, out of place even. But the world revolved around me in a shift juggle not unlike a rouletting Russian anticipating a butterfly-winged buzz that almost always wasn't. That is, I think, until today. For the kingdom of heaven is at metacarpal's clutch, whether or not the index finger gestures pressure to pull so hard it pushes all I love and hate away. But then again, why do this if I know for a fact that I'll remain the jester of a court lawless yet cheated out of anarchy? I mean, after all, they're not as loud as they're portrayed in the movies. It's not thunderous timpani, but instead a mere slap of the rim, a one-handed clap for a win too Pyrrhic for me. And that is not triumphant. So that is not how my Omega will be. That poem, believe it or not, was written with the word plangent being a catalyst for it, a word that I had not heard until earlier this week and did not know it existed The definition of plangent being loud, sound, but full of melancholy. And what more? What loud roaring sound could bring melancholy other than a bullet? I might be shooting myself in the foot with this one, being that this is the first episode with content so deep and dire. But I can't help myself, because these are dire situations. This is a dire situation that we are living in right now. And it must be said, if it is the only thing that I have to say. The idea of choice in older age about your life tends to veer more towards an obligation, doesn't it? The idea is that you are not selfish if you sustain, if you endure, if you take on the chin all of the pains of the world, for sake of other people still seeing you smile, whether or not the smile is a veneer or true. And even still, there's a griping there that says that maybe I'm not being selfish, but I am being self-full, self-exhausted, and tired. We live in a world that might make us very, very tired. Some of us choose to sleep for long hours, and even some of us made a choice to sleep forever. But it was their choice. But as you do recall, only 10 minutes ago, that I implore you to choose life, as those ancient texts say, not as an obligation, but as a choice. Therefore, choose life. If anyone is in the comments section and would like to share where that scripture is in the Bible, please, indeed, share it with me. As a matter of fact, let's go to the comments. We have Tara Henry asking if she missed anything. We have Ray Vasquez asking what's poppin', that he's here. Afternoon. Snaps for the poetry are always appreciated. My duster brother, Ed Owens, the spirit wolf himself, who is actually indeed choosing life in his own situation. I appreciate all of the comments. I appreciate the fact that I am in the company of people who are indeed choosing life. For, believe it or not, it is actually easy to choose not to. It is a more difficult task to push on and forward, even if it means we're falling. But in falling forward, there is progress, and I can assure you that you inspire a person to fall further than you did. It says that if he can go through these things and still make it, then I must be able to as well, and at least get them to try. That is hope, brothers and sisters. That is what I shall profess and what I'll always have. Despite the world and its choices, I choose not just life, but also hope. I do dare to dream In containers tear of tears with rubber soles that are wear until worn, running forward towards happiness, at least in pursuit of it till morn. And in such morning, which have been deemed good in passing, of batons twixt marathons, generation to generation, reveling on, I see their inner scorn. For even the blind can feel their frailty like a braille-written tome, and read the other's minds by way of restless breath and tone, a salted sugar song that psalms yet limits them with lamentation. Such excellent swimmers they are, if only they would not unknow it. The fear they feed by spoon and fork, that taste, they won't outgrow it. Not at all, except for some. Behold, the seat of the soul is cold, and its highways of vain span twice the planet's earth, traversed at half the speed of sound, half the hearts in race since birth, until return to ground, eulogized for work and worth before they're planted as the slain and old. Old, but the one and few who've come to know that they are made of stars. For them I do too, tears of joy for those who've come to know the answers within the space between. For I have heard them verily singing just the thing as kinders in the garden before time hardens them, a rhyme. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. For eyes wide shut, their spell of sleep, they've promised lands within their glands. The only ad infinitum light, despite ad nauseam. Try as they might, lies the truth. The kingdom's literally at head, at heart, and at hand. Hope shall I have. I hope that for sake of the world, for sake of yourselves, that hope is what you hold in your hands. That essence of hope, of love and light is forever held in your hands, even if it is by a finger's clutch. That it is hope and not a handgun. That it is hope and not being hopeless. And that in that hope you will find the help to harness more hope. I won't be much longer, for this is just the pilot. But a couple of things to make things a little bit lighter. Random fact. Did you know that all flowers have little flowers within them, and even smaller flowers more within those? It is literally a kaleidoscope of growth in every flower that is ever grown. The idea of even seeing the bloom of one flower might actually have tens, if not hundreds, of smaller flowers, some of which cannot even be seen correctly with the human eye. I say that to say this. Hope is a together thing. It is not something that you would just hold alone. Though it might share only one stem, there are many blooms before the first bloom is actually even seen. So for that hope that is unseen right now, that you have within you, that you have around you, allow that to bloom you so that you can be that flower, that rose that grows throughout the concrete slabs of these streets, these hard, cold floors, this cold world. That takes away choice and forces upon us the government to stop us in obligations to choose life and choose death as things on the table that can be taken away from us. I choose right now to live and let live, to love and let love. I choose right now to share with you that love. And those who have chose today to share that love with me, knowing that you could have been anywhere in the world and you chose to be with me. To say that I appreciate it is an understatement. Know that by that, I love you too. Special thanks and shout out to Breaking Copyright and Pixabay for the copyright-free music. To Love is a Parable, which is the catalyst for Triumphant in the things that he does, and quite the inspiration to boot. To Tara Henry and Woosah Moments, for those are things that I need more than any sanctuary or church could ever provide. And for viewers like you, make sure to go into that Cash App. And if it was even only $1, it will be more than just appreciated. It will be honored. Once again, this is the triumphant one. Feel free not to do any other obligations. Just feel free. I implore that for you. For an archive of all of these episodes, check in on YouTube and on Facebook. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Peace and blessings.